what the Ukrainian military has been able to do over this first month of the war has been so impressive. And I know from my sources in the U.S. military and intelligence community, they've been surprised at how effective the Ukrainian military has been in dealing with these invading Russian forces. We'll have much more on that coming up. Right now, I want to bring in the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Gordon Brown, who's joining us right now. He's the author of a brand new book entitled 7 Ways to Change the World. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us. As you know, the Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, says Putin, in his words, Putin has made a big mistake with this war. What do you think the international community, specifically the NATO allies, should and can be doing right now to stop the Russians from further killing so many Ukrainians?
Well, in addition to the sanctions, which should be extended beyond the existing energy sanctions and into trade itself, in addition to the travel bans, in addition to humanitarian and the military help, which is now forthcoming for the Ukraine armed forces, I also think that President Putin understands only strength, and any sign of weakness will be exploited. And I think we've got to say to him that he cannot act with impunity, that he is guilty of war crimes. He should be brought before a tribunal. We should make provision for that to happen. And as President Biden said only a day ago, to be a war criminal is the true situation after the indiscriminate killing of children and adults, innocent people, the bombing of hospitals and schools, again, an international crime, the threat of nuclear blackmail we've seen, the breach of humanitarian corridors, equally, of course, the threat of chemical weapons. Now, all these things add up to the crime of aggression. They may also be war crimes and crimes against humanity under the International Criminal Court. And because Putin, and I know him, understands only strength, it's got to be clear to him that his colleagues and him face trial after this war if they don't desist from their crimes that are now being committed in almost every city of Ukraine.
I know, Prime Minister, that top U.S. officials, including the President of the United States, are very concerned, and they fear that Putin and the Russian military could, God forbid, use chemical weapons or even tactical nuclear weapons as they become even more frustrated with what's going on. What is your assessment?
I think anything is possible with Putin as he gets more desperate. I've known him for nearly 20 years, and it is a series of threats that he makes, not all of which he carries out. He's very opportunistic. He seizes on what he sees as a weakness on the part of the opposition. I think what's happening today with the European Union, with NATO, and with the G7 is a show of strength. And what the Ukraine people have been asking us to do is not only to help them militarily, help, of course, refugees, and it's a great announcement that's being made by President Biden that he'll take 100,000 refugees. That's an important announcement. But I think they want to know that we will support them in making sure that Putin and his cabal understand the gravity of the crimes that they're committing, all of which are against international law. And I think that to send a message to the circle around Putin, that just as at Nuremberg, those people who committed war crimes were found guilty, so too they face the potential wrath of the international community. Now, we have the International Criminal Court, which can punish war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. But the initial crime is the crime of aggression, and I think a tribunal should be formed to try that. So I want to give all the help we can. Look, what we've seen in the last month is that while buildings are being destroyed and lives are being destroyed, the unity of the Ukraine people seems indestructible. And equally at the same time, while hearts are being broken every day by the scale of violence inflicted on the Ukraine people, that their courage is unbreakable. And that is something that we must build upon and give whatever support we can. Now, the Ukraine president has asked us to look at a tribunal to try President Putin, and I think it's important to send that message in addition to everything else that is being done at the NATO summit today.
What has been so impressive here in Brussels at this NATO summit, and I'm sure you'll agree, Prime Minister, is the unity of these 30 NATO allies. They're working together, and we'll see what emerges from these critically important historic summit talks today, Prime Minister Gordon, former Prime Minister of the UK, Gordon Brown. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.